Hello, Mr. Stu. I work with children. You know what? Hello back to you. I work with children diagnosed with ADHD, and I find it challenging to keep them attentive during activities. How can I better support their focus without constantly redirecting them? This is a question that comes up all the time, whether it be from people whose children really are diagnosed with ADHD and really do have ADHD, or whether it just be from parents or teachers who are concerned about their children's ability to focus. As a matter of fact, I teach a workshop that's anywhere between 4 and 6 hours long, where I talk about the brain function in different mental health disorders. And I always ask therapists before I lead the training, what are some of the most difficult diagnoses that you have found it is to work with? And almost all the time, therapists have two different answers, but one of them is ADHD. There is a lot of misconception about ADHD and a lot of misunderstanding about what the real problem is in ADHD. People have come to believe that ADHD means a child cannot focus. And that's not true. There's a lot of things going on in the brain, and when you focus and you feel like everything's just kind of grooving, maybe you're reading a great book or you're watching a great movie or you're really just invested in something and you're able to focus in on it, what's happening is your brain is receiving a chemical called dopamine. That dopamine is the brain's reward chemical. And so as you are focusing, your brain is rewarding you. It's saying, yes, this is good. Yes, this is good. Keep doing that. Yes, don't you feel good? Keep focusing. And it's giving you that dopamine. In children with ADHD, or just individuals with ADHD, what happens is their brain is not giving them that same amount of dopamine as someone who does not have ADHD. The problem is not that they can't focus. The problem is that they are not being rewarded for focusing. Their brain isn't giving them that reward chemical, so they turn to something that will give them that reward chemical. We see this in our own lives as we scroll on our phones. Scrolling on your phone floods your brain with dopamine. That's why it feels so good to sit there and just scroll and scroll and scroll, and then maybe you stop scrolling and you kind of feel like, oh. And yeah, it's some from the stuff that you were seeing on your social media, but it's also because your brain was flooded with all that dopamine, and now it's having a withdrawal from dopamine. And if children are allowed to just constantly scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll, their brain is flooded with so much dopamine. So when we want them to be able to focus on other things that aren't flooding their brains with dopamine, it becomes much more difficult because their brain is like, yeah, but we could just go back to the phone and it would be a whole lot easier. It would feel a whole lot better. So if you are working with children who are diagnosed with ADHD or who have ADHD, the best thing you can do is reward them for focusing. That doesn't mean you have to give them candy for focusing or buy them donuts for focusing or even give them stickers for focusing. What it means is you have to be their dopamine. You have to be the thing that says, yes, good job, great, doesn't that feel good? If you'll do that, then you won't have to redirect them as often. You will be giving them that burst of pleasure, that burst of reward for doing the thing you want them to do. Let's say that they're able to sit down and do a math problem. You can flood their brain with praise, and that praise acts as the brain's dopamine, and over time their brain will be like, ooh, this focusing thing does give us some reward. Maybe it's not within us just yet, but it does feel good to focus. And if you can be the brain's dopamine for a time, then over time the child's brain will start to be able to do that on its own. They'll be able to internalize some of the things that you say. So if you say, wow, great job, you got that problem done. Look at you, you're able to sit there and focus. and you say that over and over, and every time they're focused, you are just flooding them with praise and giving them that dopamine burst, then over time, their own brain will be able to do it, and they'll start to talk to themselves that way. They'll be working on a math problem and they'll be saying, yeah, Mr. Stu, look at you. You're able to focus. That feels really good. Oh, yeah, you got that problem done. Fantastic. The problem is not an inability to focus. The problem is a lack of reward for focusing. That's why individuals with ADHD will constantly go to the next thing, because their brain is saying like, yeah, that might take a little bit longer, but the dopamine's right here. And then they're doing this one. They're like, yeah, this isn't giving us enough. Let's go to that one. That one will give us some dopamine. So as the adults in these children's lives, we have to act as the dopamine. We have to act as the reward chemical. If you will act as the reward chemical and the praise chemical, then what can happen is you won't have to redirect and correct as much. You will be talking just as much because you'll be flooding them with praise, but it's much less frustrating to give a child a lot of praise than it is to redirect and correct them over and over and over and over again. So try that out. Be their brain's dopamine. And if you'll do that, you can build that skill within them. They'll start to see it's not always about getting something. Maybe it's just receiving that praise for a little bit, but it's not about receiving an item. That's not the only thing that can give them that good rewarded feeling. And as they take in your praise, they'll start to talk kinder to themselves, and they can start to give themselves praise. And then they can build a tolerance that even though their brain isn't flooding them with dopamine, they know some ways that they can give themselves that burst of reward on their own. Hopefully that's helpful. Try it out. See if being child's dopamine helps you not have to redirect and correct them as much. But you will be talking just as much because you're flooding them with praise, but hopefully less frustrated talking. Thanks so much for writing in. Again, if you are watching this, please follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. It's at Mr. Stu TV on all those channels. You'll see different things across each one, and I would greatly appreciate if you'd follow, like, and subscribe. Thanks so much.